Make yourself comfortable in the chair, and the posture that we're looking to move towards, as always, is to be a little bit forwards in your chair, to let your feet take some of your weight, but without straining in our back. So you may need to sort of shift around a little bit. You're not stuck in a particular posture. That's important. You're not straining to be in the posture. Sometimes in Tai Chi the term is used that we hold the postures. But I always try to think of it the other way around, that rather than me having to hold the posture, I want to think that my posture's holding me, that we're actually supported. So, starting as always with this little tapping exercise, rubbing your hands together, and then starting on your face with one hand or with both hands, whichever's more comfortable for you. Just tapping lightly over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder. Feeling the vibration of the muscles there. Down the inside of your arm and up the outside. And on the other side. So these little tapping exercises help to warm us up a little bit, encourage circulation, can actually help to release some of the tightness that we feel in our body, upper part of the chest. They will also help to let our attention settle into our body. Belly, light on your belly, and finally legs. So we want to try and bring our attention into our body and let that sit at the front of our awareness. Right, using awareness for our breathing, our posture, sensations in our body in one way or another, but trying to maintain that sort of foregrounding of our attention. And then building on that, really giving some time to be aware of your feet, your legs, your hips, because we tend to be very orientated towards the upper part of our body and our awareness. So just trying to balance that out with a specific intention to be aware of the lower part of the body. Something we can come back to for a moment or two at any point in the exercises. And then just slowly beginning to turn your head. One of the features that I often draw attention to that sort of comes out of this posture is this sense that there's space within the body for movement. And so when we move, the intention is to let that space very gently fill up with the movement, but not to force anything. And then hands in front of your chest and circling your elbows around. So with any of these movements, but particularly when we start up, I would always suggest sort of making smaller movements just to get the sense of the movement, and then if it's appropriate, gradually increasing their range of movement, but never so much that you get to a point where you kind of hit a barrier. Maintaining this quality of the movement, the flowing movement, sometimes described as though being gently massaged or bathed within the body, and then going in the other direction, Gently again, you're working muscles and joints, but also encouraging this build up of the flow within your body. Let your arms hang down, rotating them. And as we're dealing with movements in the upper part of our body, that awareness of what's happening in your hips, your legs, your feet will recede a little bit, but just remind yourself that that's still there, as it were. And then winding your arms around. And back the other way. Letting your hands rest, and now bringing your attention to your hips and your pelvis. As you sit here, about 70% of your weight in your hips and pelvis, so just leaving about a third, 30% resting down through your feet, but then tilting your pelvis forwards so that more of your weight goes into your feet. Legs are compressed and you just gently push into the floor and come back. That movement backwards aided not just by that movement up from your legs, but by this feeling of your hips dropping back. So ideally, when we do this movement, we don't feel any sense of straining or stiffening in our back, our spine, our shoulders or our chest, but rather, again, this massaging quality of movement, of flow through the body. One more time, going straight forwards and backwards, and then as you come back, turn just a little bit in your hips and waist, so that directs the movement a little bit more into one leg. Just recognizing that when we act in that central part of the body, it actually has an effect right the way through the whole body, from our feet to our heads. And then in the other direction. So this generation of the movement of the energy from the ground, from our feet, from our legs, via this sense of sinking down and pushing up, and the transfer of the weight forwards and backwards, or one part of the lower body to another. It's very characteristic of all of these movements. And if we just turn, bring the weight across, and letting the pelvis roll around on the chair. Letting the weight move. And that very smooth circular feeling in upper back, chest and shoulders. Change direction. Coming back to the centre. And then with a slight shift to one side, step out with the opposite foot, put the heel down, lower the ball of your foot, and then gently press in. Back, planting the foot. And then tilting forwards. And then on the other side, first of all, what we would call an empty step. And using forwards. So, bringing back the movements of the upper part of the body, but recognizing that they're again driven from what's happening in hips, legs, and feet. It's where the movement, the energy arises from. So, that awareness of what's happening in the lower part of the body is something we want to make sure doesn't get lost, doesn't get swamped in the effort to move the arm. So it's still there in the background, like a kind of gentle background noise, or sometimes liken it if you ride a bike. You're constantly pedaling, and you're not thinking all the time. You've got to push one foot down, the other one comes up, and then it changes over. But we're aware of it. There's an intention to keep pedaling, and the rest of what happens on the bike is built on that. Another example might be things like the shoes, the shoelaces. We walk along the road, and there's a background awareness of the fact that our shoes are there, the laces are done up, and then it means we notice when the shoelaces come undone. So letting your hips sink back, hands down to your sides, turning your hands forwards, and bird folds its wings. Moving your weight and just a simple rotation of your arms. It's not meant to be a race, so just taking a moment each time your weight lands in either your hips or your feet to let things settle. Going forwards, and this time leaving your hands facing back, and as you go back, your arms just slightly delayed, and then swinging through. Same thing going forwards. There's always one of the very common images that we use is of moving through water. If you were doing this in water, then the pressure of the water would hold your arms back just a little bit. So from the side it looks a little bit like this, going forwards. A bit of an opening here in the front shoulder, which then contracts, and that brings your arm through. Going back, and we feel that extension, that opening behind the shoulder blade, which then contracts, bringing your arm through. Not just the expansion and the contraction, but the flow of the movement, the flow of the energy. This begins to point our awareness that at various aspects of the movement, that what I've just described isn't the only pattern. Each movement has its own sort of individual echoes, its own individual patterns within the body. And as we become more aware of those, as we become more skilled at bringing a deliberate intention to the movements, we soon realise that actually we're more likely to be able to use that intention when it's fed by memory or information or imagery, simple awareness. It's easier to bring those qualities to those small changes and to build a movement from the inside out. Next time you go forward, leaving your arms in position, not straining your shoulders or your elbows. So as you come back, your arms are just drawn up. So you're rolling the ball in towards your body. There's a slight sense of resistance here until the ball starts to move, and then your arms can begin to contract in. And with your feet and your legs. If you imagine the ball as being quite heavy, you have to use your feet to get it to move in the first instance. Expanding upwards through your belly, solar plexus, and into your chest. You get that in, it's almost like a wave pushing up through your body, pushing your arms up. This time as you push up, feel that wave meeting, permeating your chest, and push your elbows out, drawing your fingers apart. Pigeon spreads its wings. A significant sense of expansion across your chest as your arms push out, and then your sternum, your chest bone sinks back as you go forwards. One more time. Change into pushing away, but more compact exercise, but still with that sense of opening out across the chest, and then what I describe as the sternum sinking backwards, expanding across your back as that happens. So this pattern of expansion and contraction alternates, in this instance from front to back, but it will alternate in different ways. But they're always paired in that sense. One more in this stance. And then sitting back, let your weight shift slightly to one side so you can step out with one foot and having planted the foot, ease forwards. Coming back, bring the foot in, move across to the other side, feel your body turning just a little bit, step out and plant, push forwards. taking care to position and plant the foot before moving your weight. So again, giving a kind of precedence to what's happening in feet, legs. One more on each side. This time you come back to facing forwards, plant the foot down, fingers dropping down to just above your legs, rolled into a hollow fist. Push your arms out, extend them gently, rotate through the length of your arm. When you come back, don't let your elbows go out or behind. Your elbows come back towards your hips. So what we have here is a movement combined with two elements. One is your weight moving forward, so I simply move my weight, do nothing with my arms. That's how far they will move. If I do it the opposite way around and extend and rotate my arms and then come back, that's how far they will move. And then both hands together. Simply called punch with both fists. One more time, going forwards, gently opening your fingers, rotating palm out, winding back, and then in, and again the press forwards. Again, feeling the chest open nice and gently. One more round of this, going forwards, coming back, turning your hands palm down, turn a little bit towards one leg, ease forwards, let that movement extend out through your arms and your fingers, turn and coming back, just polishing the table. It's that movement in the middle of the body and your hips. So you can see what my arms are doing, but also try and just notice what's happening here. I turn, that turns my whole of my upper body, that gives direction to the arms. Turning around, I come back, face the front, and then in the other direction. Then one more on each side. And your hands palm up, as though there's a ball cradled in your arms. Letting your weight sink down, feeling that sense of compression through the hips and buttocks, your legs and feet. And then feeling the expansion that results from that coming up through your body, pushing your arms up, and again, draws them down. Because the downward movement is so very clear in this exercise, it's referred to as rooting down, that process by which our weight, our centre of gravity, drops downwards. This time at the bottom of the movement, rotating your arms a little bit so the fingers point away from your body. Same idea, but this time give the feeling that the expansion upwards pushes your arms away from your body. Just notice how they swing up. This is the wild goose. And another change. Ease your forwards a little bit more. Here, let your hands cross in front of your knees, come back into your hips, and again that push down, leading to the rise and expanding movement that moves your arms. There are innumerable little parts of the body that begin to act together to produce these movements. And as we can identify those more clearly, this is where we can bring a sense of intention, trying to build the movements up from within the body. That might involve that technical awareness, might involve the image. This is parting the clouds, so that sort of expanding quality, opening quality, very much a feature of the exercise. One more time. This time you let your arms drop all the way down, feeling the weight of your arms in your shoulders, tension onto one side, and that expanding feeling again, pushing your elbow up, drawing your fingers up as your elbow drops, winding around, draw down. And then on the other side, dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Not rushing the transition from one side to another, so bring your attention to the centre of your body, that feeling of sinking down, and then pushing up. So last time, and then bringing your hands around, palm up, expanding upwards through your back, and that movement, push your arms up, turn them as much as you can so they simply pressing up against the low ceiling and back. And taking time to come all the way back to the centre and then push down. This time, when you reach that final stage with your arms extended, once again extend one leg, just put the heel on the floor, keeping the knee a little bit bent, turning your hands palm up, easing forward, just scooping the sea, and then a push from the other leg, hips pulling you back, drawing your head and shoulders up and opening, expanding through your belly and your chest, looking at the sky, scooping the sea, looking at the sky. Be very careful with this, especially in the colder weather, and if your back's a bit tight, you don't want to go too far. Remember, we don't want to sort of hit that barrier where we begin to lose that space for the internal movements. Letting your hands drop down, roll again into a loose fist. Once again forward, but this time with a sense of a kind of upward trajectory for your head. Drawing your arms through and over, grasping the tiger's ears. I'm going to change sides. Same two exercises, starting with scooping the sea, looking at the sky. And changing to grasping the tiger's ears. Good. And come back to the sitting posture. And come back to this transfer of your weight forwards and backwards. It's a slightly more complicated pattern of movement now. So from the upright position, as you go forwards, turn into your left first of all, so more of your weight goes into your left. Come back on that diagonal line towards your right hip. Turn your body to the left a little bit, just feel that slight shift over, more emphasis on your right hip, left hip, I beg your pardon, and then diagonally forwards to the right leg and back to the left hip. So it's like you have a cross with a line underneath it. Coming into your right hip and bring your hands to a ball holding position, right hand on top, left hand underneath. Going forward into your left leg. So you're pushing into something with your shoulder, and then you just turn, and let that movement push the left hand out, right hand goes down in front of the right hip. Coming back, bringing your hand across, turn hands in to hold the ball again, hand the ball, opposite way round. And then turn into the left hip, and same thing again, across into your right foot. This is part in the wild horse's mane. One more time. And just rest for a moment. Coming back to this original posture. Now, once again, open your hands together and to stand, starting preparation with these tapping exercises again, tapping over your face. And over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm. Across to the other side. And the upper part of your chest. Down to your belly. And finally your legs. Then still with the legs, pushing your heels up. And then circling around. And on the other side. Good. Now, coming to standing. So once again, we want a posture that we feel will support us. You want to have your feet directly below your hips. And once again, just take a few moments to bring your attention as fully as possible into your body. And having done that, direct them downwards, feet, legs, hips. And these little moments when we do that, the benefit accumulates. We gradually become more aware. If you think about many tasks, I mentioned riding a bike. You know, if you're learning to ride a bike, you probably have to think quite a lot about pedaling. If you've ridden a bike for a long time, you just get on and pedal, but you're still aware of it. So this awareness of our body, this awareness of the lower part of our body continues to build for us. There's not only a physical benefit to that, but we also begin to associate that focusing with a sense of quietening, calming in the mind. And from that point of calmness, we're able to observe more of the body. So these things really reinforce each other. Ideally, you want to have your weight a little bit forwards in your feet. If I exaggerate, I'm going to go forwards there. So I'm obviously leaning forwards here. Now, in this position, I'm going to tense up. In fact, even with a slight angle forwards, because we begin to feel as though we're falling forwards, we do tend to stiffen up. Or what we might do is pull our shoulders back. But this, of course, is very bad for the back, and it tightens us up in the front of the body. What we want to try and do, again, I'm exaggerating, is to just allow gravity to pull the hips back. So we're just resting on the edge of a table or on a wall. And what that does is it brings our shoulders and head upright. It settles our weight into our feet. So this is the supported posture. This is the one where our legs are able to support us because our weight is going straight down through them. It's hard for the legs to support us when we're like this. It also means that our back can begin to support the front of our body. And significantly, as we begin to lose some of the habitual tightness in our body, become more aware of how we're supported from within. And that awareness usually starts with the skeleton, but it goes a little bit beyond that as well. Let your hips sink down a little bit more. Bring your hands around so you're cradling the ball, pushing up, letting the movement, push your elbows out, turn, and then as though you're pushing the ball back down into the water. Here we can really appreciate more easily perhaps than in the chair our weight sinking down and the significance of that. One of the other things that really helps us to remain upright and supported without straining is to lower our centre of gravity. The lower our centre of gravity, the less weight there is to carry in the upper part of the body. And hugely important, and very much a feature of Tai Chi, the lower our centre of gravity, the more stable we are. That's the rooting down. We also begin to recognise that the very act of sinking primes the legs, and eventually they just push us up again. So it's also connected with this internal movement, this flow of energy. And then turning your hands out for the standing version of the wild goose. Don't think of lifting your arms, think of that movement coming up, pushing your arms away from your body. How we view a movement, how we think about a movement, can have a profound effect on how we're moving. If we assume here that we're lifting our hands up, we're probably straining our arms, our chest, our back, our shoulders. If we just think in terms of the movement pushing our arms away, they'll still rise up because they're attached to the shoulders. But the movement will start to feel much smoother. Likewise, when we change to parting the clouds, letting your hands cross in front of your belly, again your elbows get pushed out, but eventually they drop down, and that draws your fingers around in a circle. Now, if you do that and you're not getting as much movement as you were getting before, if you've done this before, you're probably moving too far before, for one thing. But we can get a lot of that movement back through observing and bringing a deliberate intention to what is happening within the body. Where do we feel as our arms go up? Where do we feel those small changes of expansion, contraction, and by bringing an intention to increase those, we can just encourage the sense of energy moving the arms for us. And let your hands drop down. So we begin to bring that conscious intention that we started off being sort of intending to bring our attention to our feet, but it has many sort of layers of effect in the body. As we learn to bring a more intended movement to ourselves, the movement again begins to change. Now, have 1 foot forwards, keep the width of your step, and just transferring your weight from side to side, from foot to foot. Giving yourself a moment to settle in, feeling the push up from the leg, but letting it direct you forwards and backwards. So that intentionality can be guided by simple awareness. This is how I've been talking about it. Imagery can be another really good way of focusing awareness. We have an intention to move in a certain way. We have an image that suggests, like the wild goose or parting the cloud, moving through water. Memory, those of you who are experiencing these exercises, the recollection of how it can feel. So there's many different aspects of our minds that feed into this deliberate intentionality. And we can use whatever is most useful to us. It might be that an image is better with some movements. It the image works for you. Others it might just be that memory or that just that awareness, simple, pure awareness. If you go into your back foot and then just raise the front toes, you'll feel yourself shift just a little bit more. Go forwards, push the back knee in so your heel comes up, and again you shift a little bit more. The aim being to bring your head and your body directly above one leg. So you're thinking again about how we are supported through our posture, and this time we're looking for our posture to really be over one leg, letting the hips drop back, letting your centre of gravity drop, and then bring the foot in, push out, put your heel down, lower the ball of your foot, press in, and move the weight. Push the back heel up, bring the foot in. When you step back, it's the ball of the foot, followed by your heel, planting the foot, moving the weight. We achieve the stability by releasing, by letting go, by allowing our centre of gravity to drop, by allowing our hips to drop. That's quite difficult though. So if you're feeling a bit tense and that's going on, if I just put my hand on the wall here, I can go a long way towards just helping me to feel secure enough to experiment with this idea of releasing, allowing tightness to drain away from the body, feeling that more stable quality that emerges from that. And shake out. I would also recommend to people who've done this before and they feel quite confident in this, don't dismiss that idea of using some kind of support, a wall or a table or a chair next to you. It can be quite interesting. I'm often quite surprised when I do that. I think, oh, actually, there is still tightness there, or I can still improve with this. So it's not just if you're feeling a bit wobbly. Sometimes having that extra bit of support can be quite illuminating. Now have your other foot forwards, transferring your weight. So that feeling that we're supported enables a sense of releasing in the body, getting away from the idea that being upright, moving, necessarily involves tightening up. Beginning to raise your toes and your heel. Stepping in. And then stepping through either forwards or backwards. You could, of course, if you're using the wall, you could just walk along the side of the wall. Notice that I'm bringing my foot in before I step out. I'm going to change direction. Okay, now have your right foot forward, so mirror my movements. Start with your weight in your back leg, easing forward, and the standing version of fisherman casting it. It's a lovely little fluid exercise that has much to offer us in terms of becoming aware of how movement and energy flow through the body from the ground. This time as you go into your front leg, just turn to your left a little bit, so that redirects the arms. Let them drop down as you go back, sink into your back leg, turn to your right. This is Wind Blows the Willows. Combining the transfer of the weight, the turning in the centre of your body, and that pattern of expansion and contraction. And again, ideally, we want to bring a degree of intentionality to all of those. We want them all to be part of it. The image of the willow tree is a lovely one as well. Okay, and shake out. Now, have your other foot forwards and push them and cast it. Maybe bringing in imagery again, the image of moving through water is one of the most common ones that we use. You noticing if it works for you, how that can change the quality of the movement, the feel of the movement. And forwards and turning. Wind blows the willows. And then bringing in the stepping again. So I'm going to go forwards, go into my front foot. I bring my back foot in again. I just let it rest there for a moment, stepping through and planting. As my foot comes in, just aware again of my posture for a moment. And then maybe I'm feeling comfortable with it, I will just bring the foot up. It says, dragonfly skims the water. Just have a moment for it to let your hips settle. Don't rush in to the raising of your leg, if indeed you are raising your leg. If you're not, that's fine. And then changing direction. And then go back to your chairs. So in traditional Chinese medicine, one of the important elements is this idea of an energy, a movement that flows through the body, and the quality of that flow, the harmony of that flow has massive ramifications for our well-being. There's a saying in Chinese medicine that the energy follows the thought and the body follows the energy. Again, bringing in that aspect of mind, of intention. I like to think of these three things acting together like the three legs of a tripod. But it's really important to emphasize it's never as simple as thinking the right way. We know that there's very real physical barriers. And also, this is not forcing the body. This is not mind over matter. This is not saying I must do this even if it doesn't feel right. Hopefully you can see that there's this interaction between mind and body and movement. We become aware of what's happening within the body. The body offers a place for the mind to focus. And we perhaps become aware of little changes that we can make and so on and so forth. It's a process of cultivation. And in the same way that if you've got a rose bush in your garden and you want it to grow a particular way, you don't just go along and hack at it. You look at how it's growing, you work out which would be the appropriate bits to snip off, and so on and so forth. It's a patient process, not forced, and certainly not all in the mind in that sense. Really, what we're looking for are these three legs of the tripod, body, mind, and energy, to become one, so that there isn't the same sense of your mind over here, body over there as a kind of separate entity. Now, just letting your arms hang down, and the final exercise brings us back to this fundamental awareness, and with it this sense of quietness and stillness that is such an important benefit of the practice of Tai Chi. So embrace tiger, return to mountain. You push your arms out, bring your arms around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest. Drawing in, feel your hips sinking into the chair, the shoulders dropping down, your arms following the movement down, everything coming to rest for a moment, and then a gentle push out again. And this really is one of the great things about Tai Chi, I think, that we learn that through this awareness of our bodies and movement, we can begin to really access this sense of stillness, this sense of quietness, so that awareness of our body, that awareness of what's happening in our hips and our legs and our feet, is something we can take with us out of the session and enjoy both the physical and the mental benefits of that. And then your hands come to rest. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. As always, please do get in touch with me if you have any questions, and just hope the day goes well for you. Bye for now.